The Riddle of Steel is a venerable father figure. Song of Swords is his cool kid on a motorcycle who arrives at the family gathering a little late, or never because he got into an accident on crossing the border to Mexico. Song of Swords is brought to us by Opaque Industries with a Kickstarter in 2018 and released in 2019. Sort of. There is a lot of drama surrounding the Kickstarter due to Song of Swords not really being complete. There were promises, and those promises were broken, only to be taken up, expanded upon, and completed by a very dedicated community. But we can't judge a game based on its community content. At its core, though, Song of Swords is a D10 dice pool. Before you start with your riddles, instead of a variable target number on difficulty, it uses a set TN of 7 for most actions. You'll need a required number of successes to pass any of the checks in front of you. In the Riddle of Steel, the priority system dominated, but here we have PCP, not that kind, player creation points, which we can invest into a similar chart as presented. Higher level campaigns mean more PCP and character qualities. Now, the game is technically impossible to make a character due to magic not being in the game, but we'll gracefully ignore that one for now, and I'm going to address it now. The book is littered with future expansions and such. Future expansions that have never arrived. The game is actually based around arcs. These are goals that the character and group are trying to complete in some regard. Working towards or moving towards your various arcs are how you're going to be improving yourself. Of course, luck also plays a significant factor in keeping you alive, even the comedic timing. But our attributes play an important role in everything, and there are quite a few of them. But there are also going to be moving into our compound attributes, so make sure you calculate your mobility, which is strength plus agility plus endurance divided by 2, or your charisma, which is your will, perception, and wit divided by 2, or your rampant PTSD attribute of grit. But all of that doesn't really mean anything. Adroit is agility plus wit divided by 2, and it's one of the most important things you can invest in. There are more overt fantasy races, of course, in Song of Swords, allowing you to play dwarf, human, goblin, German, Giga Chad. It doesn't really matter, though. The skills are pretty basic, though. Well, what the fuck am I even doing? Why are we even talking about this? Let's move on to what you actually want, right? You are not trained in weapons anymore. Instead of building up a longsword skill, Song of Swords invests into making proficiencies school-based, with each one of them allowing you to invest into different weapons per school. For example, I could be a soldier with one-handed swords, but I can also invest in noble with one-handed swords. Each of these schools providing different bonuses and situations that the player needs to adapt to. Being good at one-handed swords doesn't mean you're going to be great at spears, but I may be good at spears with a completely different school I pick up later. The most obvious bonus you're going to be getting, though, are talents. These are unique aspects to your abilities as you progress through the school of thought. So taking Shield Breaker allows you to rake shields better, while taking Called Shot allows you to progress up a very basic talent tree. This is interesting if laid out terribly. Next, invest a handful of detailed weapons, even ones that make no sense, like a katana or 3 varieties of arming sword. Each one of these has unique qualities to manage as well, or just take a gun and pray. And Lord, don't forget the armor, because instead of a simple method of handling them, you're going to need to manage your entire bodily protection. And with every armor piece does have a cutting, piercing, and blunt damage difference and different qualities to modify them. But let's keep moving before we get bogged down even further. Combat, death, glory, the tune of truncheons, the ballad of the blade, the song of the swords, on page 170 of 246. Antoine, Bacchus, places please, naked and glistening warriors of fate and random chance. First things first, we'll need to explain what rounds, bouts, and phases are. Antoine and Bacchus meet on the field yet again and compare their adroitness. Depending on your ADR, you may actually get additional actions during phase 1, 2, or 3. At its most simple, if Antoine has an ADR of 5 and Bacchus has an ADR of 7, Bacchus actually receives a free round of actions before doing anything else. This leads to a bout inside of the phase, the main meat of the action. 3 die will be deployed. Aggressive, cautious, or defensive. Thrown at once, the 2 fighters will throw 1 away actually, indicating what they won't be doing, before revealing the secret result. Aggressive has the initiative and some new maneuvers. Cautious can declare either defense or attack, and the defensive is going entirely on the defense with no hope for going aggro. We'll need to establish a similar situation from before. Antoine is rolling 6 for a sideways slash to the arm, and Bacchus is dedicating 6 to a parry. Both of these roll and compare their results are 0 as usual. If the defender wins, they get the advantage. Attackers win, well, we're going to have to calculate damage. A longsword deals +2 cutting damage with 2 over successes and the strength bonus of 3. You did calculate your strength bonus, right? Then we take away the toughness value that a Bacchus has, so we'll call it at 4. So we have 4 with our glorious hit at the chest, so we deal stun 3, pain 15, bleed 20, and that's it. Stun and pain work as you think, reducing your combat pool pretty drastically. And as well as with bleed, which we'll need to overcome with an endurance test or pass out. But here's the secret, actually. I didn't talk about the other maneuvers, the long list of maneuvers to pull off, or the fact that most weapons have a guard on their hand to protect against a hit. Song of Swords is the best looking of the Sons of Riddle of Steel, but lord is it detailed. I could nitpick about the writing trying to be funny, or the fact there's no setting except a map, but then that make a big deal of setting elsewhere, including the MG42 armor men. But here's the thing, Song of Swords is a dense game that doesn't give a shit about anything other than the fight. Can you roleplay? Yes, of course you can. Doesn't matter because you should be getting into a fight. Can I build a non-combat character? Well, yes you can, but don't, because you should be getting into a fight. If your adroitness is not better than the enemy, you're going to lose. There are correct ways to play and there are wrong ways to play. Without a ton of options or details, the game really is just an arena TTRPG with extra steps. So get your friends together, throw some dice, kill one another before putting it down and moving on with your lives. But why is this the case? I think the main thing with Riddle of Steel and its successors is that it's a game always at war with itself, always wanting to be the more accurate HEMA fighting game as well as being the other half, the first game as I called it. This isn't a game you play for fun. This is a game you play when everyone's 100% ready to engage and making sure your quilted shirt's textile rating lets you soak a little bit more damage from arrows, but then you realize that you want to play something with maybe more role-playing in it, and that game doesn't really do this. Is the game bad? No, I think it's a hyper niche of a hyper niche further divided into a hyper niche. Will it ever get finished? I don't know. Maybe we'll just have to wait and see, though my confidence is less than stellar with the previous track record. My name is Notepad and this was Song of Swords. If you like what I do here, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and many thanks to the Iron Bankers for their continued support. Godspeed, good luck, and roll 10 to the head, bitch boy!